We now have the Ghislaine Maxwell transcripts of her interview with Donald Trump's former criminal defense attorney, turned number 2 at the Department of Justice, Todd Blanche, which took place in Tallahassee, Florida, over the course of 2 days, about 10 hours total in these interviews, about 300 plus pages of the transcript from this interview. I read it all. I'm going to break down for you how this cover-up took shape. And it should be noted that she was interviewed in Tallahassee, Florida, where Ghislaine was serving a 20-year sentence for being convicted of sex trafficking of minors. Shortly after that interview, she was then moved to a minimum security facility in Bryan, Texas, at a facility called Camp Bryan, where she had to receive a waiver because convicted sex traffickers are not allowed to be in minimum security facilities. So what did she have to do to get from the maximum security facility where she was serving a 20-year sentence to the place where all female inmates want to be, Camp Bryan, Texas? The cover-up is spelled out in such obvious ways. I want to go through with you the transcript that I have, and we're going to read the key portions of the transcript together. As I've posted across my social media platforms, could they make the cover-up any more obvious? Here's what Ghislaine Maxwell said to Todd Blanche during that Tallahassee, Florida meeting where she was given immunity. She goes, "So my father liked him, Donald Trump, very much, and he was loved. Really liked his wife as well because we were both Czechoslovakian. And as far as I'm concerned, President Trump was always very cordial and very kind to me. And I just want to say that I find I admire his extraordinary achievements in becoming the president now, and I like him, and I've always liked him. So that is the sum and substance of my entire relationship with him. You found underage girls at Mara Lago that were then sex trafficked by you and Jeffrey Epstein." Let me play for you the audio right here of Ghislaine Maxwell, where she says, "There's no list at all. There's no list." Then we're going to go through some of the transcript together. "There's no list. There's no black book of any sort." Here, play this clip of Ghislaine.
During the time that you were with Mr. Epstein, and even in the 2000s when you were around less frequently, you never observed or you never saw any sort of list or black book or a list of individuals who linked to certain masseuses or
Absolutely
anything
no.
like that?
Absolutely no. There is no list.
Shannon, I think.
And then she goes, like, Donald Trump was never inappropriate with anybody. He was always just the perfect gentleman. That's how I would describe him. Here, play this clip of Ghislaine saying this during her interview with Donald Trump's criminal defense attorney, turned number 2 at the Department of Justice, Todd Blanche. Let's play it.
I don't recall ever seeing him in his house, for instance. I actually never saw the president in any type of massage setting. I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects.
And then Ghislaine says that, no, Jeffrey was never part of any intelligence agencies, even though we've heard prosecutors make that point before. No, never part of the Mossad, never part of anything. Not at all. Good guy. Here, play this clip. How disgusting is this? Here, play this clip.
Were you ever told, you ever think that Mr. Epstein was getting any money from any intelligence agency, including Mossad?
I don't believe so, but I wouldn't know. I would be very surprised if he did. I don't think so. No.
What do you make of?
I'll show you then the coordination with Fox to spew this propaganda, but I want to go through some of the portions of this transcript right now. So the meeting begins with Donald Trump's former criminal defense attorney, Todd Blanche, saying the following to Ghislaine. "It's important," he goes, "is the fact that with this agreement we're giving to you, what this agreement does for you, Ghislaine, wink, wink, is it gives you protection. So what it means is that the government cannot use what you say today against you, with some exceptions, which we'll talk about in a minute. But whatever you talk about today, you have what's called immunity. So that means that the words you say today, we cannot use against you in a case in chief, if we were ever to bring one, okay?" Ghislaine Maxwell says, "Thank you." You have Trump's DOJ saying that to Ghislaine Maxwell to start. So do you see the implications of what they're saying to her? we're going to give you immunity right here. Okay, Ghislaine? I mean, by the way, the statute of limitations for sex trafficking is basically unlimited. So by them giving her immunity, if the Supreme Court ever reverses her criminal prosecution, or if the district court ever does, future charges can't be brought against her. Then Todd Blanche says, all right, there's exceptions to that. The most meaningful one, which is that if you say something that's not true, that's a lie, we can bring a process against you for your false statements. So I'm a federal officer. I have several federal officers here. The FBI is here. And if you lie to someone that's like me or like Special Agent Horn, it's a crime. So you have to be truthful, okay? Then he goes on to say, however, almost as important is the fact that with this agreement, what it does for you is it gives you protection. It gives you protection. Okay, he says that again. Then you go through the deposition transcript and Todd Blanche says, and you mentioned that early in the very beginning of the conversation that you mentioned President Trump in the early 1990s. Ghislaine Maxwell, yes. Todd Blanche, what did you observe as far as President Trump and his relationship with you or Mr. Epstein? Ghislaine, well, I just want to say for my relationship with President Trump, relationship is a big word, but I just want to say that I met him, or I believe I may have, because of my father in the 1990s. Todd Blanche, yep, okay. Ghislaine, so my father liked him very much and he was loved, really liked his wife as well because we were both Czechoslovakians. And as far as I'm concerned, President Trump was always very cordial and very kind to me. And I just want to say that I admire his extraordinary achievement in becoming the president now, and I like him, and I've always liked him. So this is the sum and substance of my entire relationship with him. That's not the sum and substance of your entire relationship. Y'all were like best friends. You introduced Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein, your boyfriend at the time. That's what happened. You introduced him on the Lady Ghislaine. Then you, Jeffrey Epstein, and Donald Trump were like best friends for more than 2 decades. We have numerous receipts, for example, of your own paper that your daddy owned, the Sunday Mirror, talking about you bringing young women to Donald Trump. I mean, there's an article here. Ghislaine would bring young women to Donald Trump and he would impress them at Mara Lago and he'd put them up in their penthouse. That's literally, they called you Madame Maxwell, the woman who introduced Donald Trump to these other very young women. That was actually written at the time. And by the way, you found Virginia Giuffre, underage 17 years old, in the Mar-a-Lago spa and then sex trafficked her. That was one of the things you were convicted of. Todd Blanche goes, what about Mr. Epstein's relationship with Trump? Ghislaine, I don't know how they met. I don't know how they became friends. I certainly saw them together, and I remember the few times I observed them together, but they were friendly. I mean, they seemed friendly. You don't know how they met? You were the person who introduced them. Was you. You were the connector there. Todd Blanche, was that in social settings or was it in private settings? Ghislaine, I believe I only ever saw them in social settings. I don't recall any private settings. You don't recall private settings with you, Donald Trump, and Jeffrey Epstein together? I mean, okay, Ghislaine. She goes on to Todd Blanche says, have you ever been to Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach? I have, she says. Todd Blanche, and what time periods are you thinking about, would you say? I don't remember when the president purchased Mar-a-Lago. So from whenever it turned into the club, I went there and I was loving going there. Todd Blanche, did you go there alone or with Mr. Epstein? Mostly alone. Todd Blanche, do you know where? Ghislaine, and the times I went there, it was for an event, maybe once or twice. Todd Blanche, and do you know whether Mr. Epstein went there? I believe he did, but again, he didn't take me with him all the time, so he would go and, well, he did from time to time, but he would go alone. I think he would maybe go himself to the spa. I certainly did. Todd Blanche, did you ever observe President Trump receive a massage? Ghislaine, no, never. Todd Blanche, did you ever observe? You said that you were, have you seen there's photographs, public photographs of Mr. Epstein and Trump together? Ghislaine, yes. Todd Blanche, and there's photographs of, I think you're in some of those photographs. Ghislaine, yes. Todd Blanche, as well. Those all appear to be social settings. Ghislaine, yes. Todd Blanche, do you? Ghislaine, That's my memory. There were social settings. I don't know Epstein, if he had whatever the nature of the president's friendship, if you will, or however you want to define that with Epstein. I never witnessed. I think they were friendly like people are in social settings. I don't think they were close friends, or I certainly never witnessed the president in any. I don't recall ever seeing him in the house, for instance. I actually never saw the president in any type of massage setting. I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects. Question: what's the last time you think you saw in person President Trump? Ghislaine, it's been a long time, probably not, sometime in the beginning, mid-2000s maybe, and it would only have been a social setting as far as I recall. Todd Blanche. And have you ever hear Mr. Epstein or anybody say that Trump had done anything inappropriate with masseuses or with anybody in your world? Ghislaine, absolutely never in any context. Todd Blanche, do you know whether masseuses from Mara Lago Spa ended up giving massages to Mr. Epstein? I'm not asking for what you may have read, but from your personal knowledge, do you know if that's true? I don't recall. Is it possible? Yes, but I don't remember. I don't remember, but I don't want to. I don't recall. It's possible. You sex trafficked Virginia Giuffre from Mar-a-Lago. That's where you found her. That was part of your criminal case. Why is Todd Blanche doing this interview? Oh, right. He's Donald Trump's criminal defense attorney. You know who should be giving this interview? The prosecutor of Ghislaine Maxwell, who knows the facts. What happened to the prosecutor? Oh, right. She was fired by Donald Trump. So that's why. And no one associated with the actual case was in the room, and they just let Ghislaine Maxwell get away with things like this. Oh, by the way, when you look through the transcript as well, you'll see that there are redactions in certain portions, which they redacted. And as Inner City Press writes, from index to Ghislaine Maxwell's Todd Blanche proffer, what could the DOJ be redacting alphabetically between farmed and fashion? Can you say farmer? 10 references in just this alone. So just to be very clear, Farmer, Marie Farmer, Annie Farmer were women who were sex trafficked by Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Those portions of this deposition or this interview is notably missing and redacted. So I just want to flag that as well. I'm going through more of these transcripts right here. Todd Blanche, do you have a recollection of you ever recruiting masseuses from Mar-a-Lago Spa to give a private massage to Mr. Epstein? Ghislaine, I never recruited a masseuse from Mar-a-Lago for that. As far as I remember, I can't ever recollect doing that. What about Virginia Giuffre? That was one of the things that took place at your criminal trial. She's a liar. Ghislaine Maxwell is a known liar. She was charged by the DOJ with perjury, and in their sentencing memorandum, they emphasize over and over again, she lies about everything. And it goes on and says, Todd Blanche. Okay, so what I think we should do now, it's about 12:15. We'll take a break. We'll come back in a little bit. Okay. Just be well done, Todd Blanche, treating a convicted sex trafficker so nicely. I don't know, maybe if you actually knew the facts like you did, you would say, well, tell us about Virginia Giuffre. Tell us about this victim. Tell us about that victim. But of course, that was not the purpose of this. The purpose of this, for her to get transferred to Tallahassee, to Camp Bryan in Texas, the minimum security facility, was to follow this script. Then Todd Blanche says, and do you remember, but separate and apart from your discovery, do you remember one way or another if Donald Trump submitted a letter for his 50th birthday for Epstein? Ghislaine, she's the one who put it together. I don't remember, Todd Blanche. And the article that references the letter talks about sounds like either a naked picture or a naked woman or something like that. Do you have a recollection of that? By the way, do you know how the question is asked? Do you have a recollection of that? So it's easy to answer no. And Ghislaine goes, I don't, but I just don't. I don't, I'm sorry. I don't have a recollection of that. You see how he's leading her to come up with answers like she doesn't know? Then Todd Blanche goes, My colleagues alerted me to a couple of questions I think I may have forgotten to ask you. One is, sorry, I'm going through my notes. Well, we talked a few minutes ago about this birthday book that there's press about. I understand you don't remember anything with President Trump, or a lot about the book anyway. Do you remember asking Trump to submit a letter for that? Do you see how the question is being asked? I know that you don't remember anything about it, but do you remember? And then she goes, I do not remember. Then Todd Blanche goes, and do you remember? Would you have been the one to do that, or would somebody else have done that? I did ask some people. I don't remember Mr. Trump. I don't remember who I did ask, but Epstein also asked people directly. Okay. So it could have happened that way. If it happened at all, maybe it was Epstein, she basically says. Then Todd Blanche goes, did you take other trips with some or all of those individuals without Mr. Epstein in later years? Like you said, that was the first time you had kind of been on something like that it was an honor and you were spending time with former President Clinton and others. Were there other over the years that you did more than once, Ghislaine? Yes. We'll talk about like multiple times, like too many to count or 3 or 4, a lot. I went on a lot of trips. Now, I don't recall a lot of them, not because I'm trying to be evasive or anything. I just don't remember them all. And after a while, in the incredible job that you have, all of you, that when you're so high pressure, you're spending too much time with extraordinary people like you do with President Trump, it can all be a blur. It just does. And those few things just stand out because at the end, it's all just extraordinary. Cars and sirens and president. It's like, whoa. Okay, well, let me just share this with you as well. Then you have on Fox, they are ready for this because this is part of the cover-up today, right? The whole cover-up was go after John Bolton. Let's create noise there. Release the Ghislaine Maxwell interview transcript, which was a setup to cover up for the sex trafficking, where they gave her immunity and then moved her to Camp Bryan. And then they have the Fox pundits weigh in, like here's Jonathan Turley, this clownish lawyer. Here's what he has to say. Here, play this clip.
Well, this is a terrible buzzkill for most of the media in this town. I think that anything short of a picture of Trump with the entire cast of the Rockettes would have been disappointing, given all of the media and speculation saying that he was a perfect gentleman, or I didn't see any even massages going on. It's not what many in this town had hoped for. There's been this narrative that Trump has engaged in everything from the Ukraine to cracking down on crime in D.C. as a distraction of what Maxwell was going to reveal.
And just 2 other data points I'll share with you right now. The redactions likely of Maria Farmer and Annie Farmer. This is what Maria Farmer had to say about her seeing Donald Trump. This is what Maria Farmer said, what she saw. Here, play this clip.
The time that is most memorable to me is the time when he hit on me. Because I was in the office. It was one of the first times I started working for Donald Trump's a sleazebag. Okay.
Yes.
It was when I started working for Epstein, and it was 9:00 at night.
Right.
And Jeffrey Epstein's office was totally empty. And I told the New York Times this, but of course they don't tell the whole thing, right? Even though Mike Baker is amazing, but they would not allow him to tell the truth. Right. So basically, I go into this office. It's 9:00 at night, and I sit down. And a few minutes later, and I'm wearing running clothes. Okay. So it was really weird. It's 9:00 at night and I'm wearing running clothes because I didn't have money. So I had to jog up there.
Right.
And so I've just struggled, for so long. So I'm like up there in the office seated, and I've got my, my running clothes on. So my legs are showing. And in walks this man that when I reported into the FBI, said that game show host, Donald Trump, because I thought he was a game show host. Yeah. Because he's so cheesy, But anyway, so I said, I said hello to, he walks in and I just kind of acknowledged him like a head nod or something. Yeah. And he immediately he's standing across the room from me, and I'm seated. And he's like, oh, Maria, no, he didn't. Sorry. I was just looking at something. He's standing across the room and he's looking at me, and I'm like, oh, gross. This guy's so gross. Anyway, he's just glaring at my legs like, yum. I told my sister, I felt like I was his dinner or his lunch, you know, the way he was looking at me. So Epstein comes in. And by the way, I did not look good. I was like, I'm not exceptionally beautiful or anything like that. These are just gross people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just like a normal person who went on a run, and I'm seated there. So he assumed I was there for him. And this is how I know. Epstein walks up to him and he goes, no, she's not here for you. And they were smirking, and Epstein whispered something. He goes, go in there. And so Trump at 9:00 at night goes in the other room. There's someone in there for him.
Right.
I don't know who, but Epstein said, no, she's not here for you.
And here's what Annie Farmer had to say about writing a letter to the Deputy Attorney General Blanche. Let's play it.
Yeah. Well, and when you ask those questions, does anyone answer? What kind of response do you get?
So far, there hasn't been a lot of official response, to our queries. Even in this, I reached out to the prosecutors who, who got the guilty verdict for Maxwell, saying, what's going on? And, they knew so little because they have not been involved in this process. So I wrote a letter to Deputy Attorney General Blanche saying, these are my concerns about what's happening. And there has not been a response. So, I know, speaking with other survivors in this case, that even though so many politicians are talking about this, I don't think anyone has actually been contacted.
So
by
you reached
anyone.
out to the Deputy Attorney General, and you haven't heard back?
Yes.
Wow. Jennifer Freeman.
And then finally, here is what Virginia Giuffre had said about being sex trafficked from Mara Lago, and that's where she was found by Ghislaine. Here, play this clip.
I was recruited at a very young age from Mara Lago and entrapped in a world that I didn't understand, and I've been fighting that very world to this day, and I won't stop fighting. I will never be silenced until these people are brought to justice. So.
All right, we'll keep you posted every step of the way, but I want to give you that context. So hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million, and thanks for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.